I think the data is that 80% of the productivity of an organization is driven by the leadership team. When we think of the tools that leadership has to direct that performance, that drive, and the values and behaviors and employee value proposition are essential to have in the toolkit. Not for that big party and not for just on the wall, but to really shape the everyday interactions.
In today's climate of constant change, one thing is clear. The organizations that outperform don't just talk about their values, they live them. More than ever, companies are revisiting the role of values, not as lofty ideals, but as essential levers for alignment, impact, and performance. And they're not doing it alone. Forward-thinking organizations are engaging their people in the process, co-creating and refining values that reflect who they are today and who they aspire to be. In this episode, we explore why values are having a moment, the best practices for making them meaningful, and why your employees are essential partners in bringing them to life.
Good morning, Stace.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. This is the morning. I think I already mentioned I was the puppy's spayed today. So up very early to give her meds and a walk before 6 o'clock. And
It's a
now
big,
anxiously awaiting the call to say we can pick her up.
it's a big day for you.
It is.
Well,
Uh,
thank you. I'm glad we get to spend some time chatting. And I
yeah.
love this topic, Stace. Like you and I had planned to talk about something else, but given the number of people that are reaching out to us to ask for
Hmm.
help
Mm,
on values, we thought, let's talk about this, right?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's something going on. So we want to talk today about why all of a sudden are people
Hmm.
focusing on their values and making sure that they're
Yeah.
lived. Where do we see companies doing this well? Where are their gaps? And kind of share a little bit about our experiences and best practices.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah,
How over the last 2 or 3 months, requests on values and behaviors have really amplified.
so why?
Yeah.
Why now,
Yeah.
Stace? Like, what do you
Yeah. I know
what
you have some really strong thoughts on why that I do agree with.
Mhm.
In addition, I think like we've seen a lot of change in C-suite over the
Yes.
last few months. Like
Mm.
there's been a significant spike in CEO and executive leadership change in 2025. And there's also been, as we know, the lowest engagement levels and active disengagement levels in organizations in 2025. Like the data out of like the Gallup studies and
Yes.
whatnot is pretty alarming in terms of active disengagement. And I think like organizations have just got such change fatigue and such a need to relook at their culture, who they are, what they really need to stand for, and figuring out how to rally talent and drive more effective leadership actions and values, behavior. That's the beginning of how you amplify that story. So I think that's in part
Mhm.
what's driving it. It's like that
Yeah.
last performance lever that many organizations have to start to drive profitability.
Yes, I love that. And coupled with, right, I think AI is forcing, right, organizations to revisit, okay, what do we stand for? And talent, right, is demanding, like, and they will say, no thanks. It doesn't matter if you're paying an amazing salary, like if your values aren't aligned with mine. So organizations are reevaluating and taking the time to revisit. But I think the number one reason, Stace, it all comes down to CEOs getting the fact that values is a lever, right, to
Yeah.
drive performance, right? Because we're asking a lot from employees. I mean, managing just this ongoing evolution of the world of work and this constant change. And you really need them to be rooted and you need that foundation to ensure that everyone is aligned so that you're going in the right direction.
And I think, to that direction setting point, like, there's so much change that organizations have had to navigate over the last 5 years.
Right.
It's unprecedented. And because of that, organizations often are challenged to be clear on
Mhm.
who they are, what they stand for, why they're doing it, and how we all need to act as we're achieving it. It's because we're going at frenetic paces.
Yes.
So, like, this is an opportunity to really ground everyone in the why.
And how do we convince people, Stace, like that it is so important to take the time to do it right? Because you and I have heard, right, from people, it's just a poster on the wall. Like these, my values, like they really, really don't mean much. Like, what's the point of them? So, how do you, convince leaders that they are critical for the reasons that we've just kind of mentioned and worth the time and investment to do it right?
Well, I think it does come down to the why. Why are we even looking at doing a values or behaviors exercise in the first place?
Mhm.
Rarely is it because we need to tweak a headline copy, because that's not going to be the performance driver that you're looking for. And it is interesting how many times you can get a call and say, listen, we don't want you to talk to any leaders. We really don't want to disrupt the employees, but we'd like you to take a look at our values, perhaps offer some refreshed copy on it, and then tell me how you're going to make an impact. Like, what's the most impactful way to launch this? It's not just about words on a page. We know that. No matter how dynamic they are, if they sit on your website and they sit in your board copy, it's not enough. We really wanna make sure that your leadership team can talk to it,
Mhm.
that, employees know what it is, that it's systematized and felt across the organization, and that means involving them in the process. I think, like you've said it before, right? Like,
Mm.
if they're not a part of shaping it, they're gonna question whether it's real.
Yeah, and I've been a part. I don't know if you have, Stace. Like, I remember in my career, I was involved in a time where the leader, the CEO, we had a new CEO, and he was so passionate about the values. Like, it was genuine, and they really connected to him, and he even launched it with a song, and it was, once again, so passionate, like, did not dispute the fact that they didn't connect with him. They did. Big launch, drinks, food, and we were just all cringing and so uncomfortable because we weren't involved in the process. We didn't see, like, the connection between what he was saying and how leaders were acting. Do you have experiences yourself where they were either done really, really well or not done really well? Values?
Yeah. I think it is oftentimes a exercise for leadership. And I think that's the mistake, really. It's the
Yes.
as a leadership team, I want to make sure that I can say I've come in and I've introduced some newer refreshed values. I've launched the behaviors. I've got my 3-year, 5-year strategy of where we're going and this aligns.
Yes.
Let's launch this to the organization as a whole and make sure that everyone knows what it is. This is our new culture roadmap.
Yes.
And then it fizzles out, and employees, I think I had a conversation just last week where an executive said to me, well, I've got values. I see them every day. I walk in, they're on our board, but I don't think that those 4 statements do anything within this organization. He was a senior leader. How we have to start thinking about it is that culture narrative that we're all
Yes.
in it every day, to be grounded in why we're doing it, where we're headed, how we want to do it. And, like, honestly, just think of ourselves, how many times we have to check ourselves
Yes.
in decisions that we're making, in clients we want to engage with, or, have questions about,
Mhm.
like, do they align to our values as an organization? to what we tell our team. Is it propping it up, or is it starting to put a strain on it? And every time you veer from what those values are, that you'll see where you have greater challenge.
Yes. So best practices you're seeing is making sure that those values are lived, right, and
Mm,
experienced through kind of the way you recognize behavior, reward behavior, the way you provide feedback, performance reviews. Like it's got to be experienced throughout the entire
yeah.
employee life cycle. Is that what? That's what
Entire
I
life
agree.
cycle. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure, performance reviews, leadership in particular at all levels need to know what it is and how it shows up.
Right.
I think sometimes it's words on a wall and not the how. How are we bringing this to life? Lots of examples, lots of, we call it the culture, the high performance culture story, which is the purpose, vision, values, behaviors, and employer
Yes.
promise or EVP. Like those things have to be a part of the every conversation that a leadership team is having, every part of the performance review, career development, and part of the celebrations. They should just be inculcated into the celebrations and recognition
Yeah.
programs.
And what I see, Stace, is where some companies struggle too is the training is so because I've been involved in values training. I've been on the other
Yes.
side and it's so prescriptive. It doesn't feel like I own anything, right? Like I've got to follow a
Yeah.
script. I've got to do this to make sure that value X is lived. Whereas what you and I have learned and what we do and practice with our own clients is making sure that it's a collaborative process, right? So this isn't a training, like we are working with you leaders. You tell me how this value can show up in your organization. How, as you as a leader, can you bring this to life? Talk to us,
Yeah.
share, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to you need to do XYZ to bring this value to life.
Yeah, for sure. And, like we've got this employer brand culture and reputation
Yes.
dashboard that's listening to
Yes.
how talent customers talk about the experience of working with you, and it's all related to your values. So I think you started out by saying like AI is really elevating the need to take a look at your values and behaviors
Mm-hmm.
again.
Right.
And now for sure you can look at any organization now and see, as an organ, do they have values? What are they preaching? And is that how employees are experiencing the organization? Is that how your customers and patients are experiencing it? So I think that ongoing measurement, auditing it, adapting where you need to, because there will always be cracks. We're all trying to strive to be a little bit better, and we're constantly challenged. We need to monitor it and make tweaks on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, and it's easier to do that today, right? Like, to your point, like, social listening, it's just so easy today to be able to say, "Yes, these values are being experienced consistently by our customer, patients,
Yeah.
employees, leaders, is being lived,"
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the data is that 80% of the productivity of an organization is driven by the leadership team.
Mm, mhm.
When we think of the tools that leadership has to direct that performance, that drive, and the values and behaviors and employee value proposition are essential to have in the toolkit. Not for that big party and not for just on the wall, but to really shape the everyday interactions.
Yeah. So to recap, Stace, we're hearing loud and clear from a lot of people that this is important and something that many organizations are revisiting. But what we're also hearing is they recognize that it's something that they can't do on their own, right? They need this to be a collaborative process so that all key stakeholders are involved in shaping them. And we also hear and recognize the importance of making sure that they are more than just, spending time on that big launch and posters and communication tools, which are important, but even more important are making sure that those values are entrenched and lived throughout the cycle, employee life cycle and employee journey. And then what you brought up is just how important measurement is and how it's much easier today to understand in real time how those values are being lived.
For sure, for sure. I think the other element, is make sure that they're, like, not corporate speak.
Yes, love
Make
that.
them
Yes.
real, like, make
Yes.
them where people are tired of corporate words on a wall, like, they make it real. We understand and recall things that feel real to us, so don't over-rotate on the top 20 value statements that you can pick from that have been repurposed. Like, make it very real and, authentic to the way you speak and act as an organization.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Because that's another thing we're hearing too, right? And thanks for bringing
Yeah.
that up where
Yeah.
you come up and you review these values and they don't even they're using words that people don't use in everyday language, right? So how is that going to resonate with the team?
Exactly.
And in some states, I've seen some organizations that have up to 10, which is also difficult to
Yes.
remember and yeah, yeah.
What do you think is an ideal max so that people can recall?
I know. I mean, I like 3 to 4 max,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah, I was gonna say 3 to 5, and once it
yeah,
goes up past 5, like, stop.
yeah,
Go back as a leadership team and ask the question, "What are the opposite of the values we wanna live by, and
yes.
how many of those do you have?" Like, just eh, keep it simple, that's the way people will recall, but the ten values on a wall is
Too much.
too much.
Yeah.
Nobody will recall.
No, no. Um, so that's like a short and sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
Recap
Yeah.
on kind of I think it was important that we share with everyone what we're
Yeah.
seeing and hearing from a lot of people lately. Stace, we got to end this session with an important update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is my father-in-law
Yep.
and his girlfriend. So they went on a road trip. They just got back from a road trip. I was we were a bit nervous. So they decided to drive to Ottawa and then Quebec. Um, it's a long drive for
It is a
anybody,
long drive.
right? Let
Yes.
alone in your mid 80s when you're not super mobile. Um, they got back, they had a wonderful time. There was one update that I heard about, perhaps a little, driving incident they were pulled over by the police at one point for crossing a barrier that they shouldn't have.
We,
But
hey,
dad sweet talked himself out of it. They had a romantic and wonderful time, and they're home in one piece.
lovely. Lovely.
Yep. Gotta
Thanks.
keep living, keep doing the adventures.
100%. 100%.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Stace, and look forward
Thank
to
you.
our next conversation. Wishing everyone an amazing weekend.
Yeah. Love ya.
Love you too, babe.
Bye.
Bye.